I believe entrepreneurship is all about solving a problem. I started from that where I just sank into my business and brought it up from the dead. Anybody who does anything in his life and they have cracked it is one thing, they just refuse to give up.
How do you manage?
Restaurant
How do you manage both? It's so hard.
I thought that, bro, 1 CR is good enough to start a restaurant in Bombay. What big deal? That is the dumb part of me playing there.
They want value for money
Exactly. They're very self-aware. Consumers are just ready for you. You have to give them the right product and they're just waiting with everything that they want to experience that. We come from a country where hospitality is like a sanskar.
How much of an initial capital do you need to have to set up like an average sized restaurant in the city?
If you don't put your heart and soul and the brain, more importantly, I think it's not a good choice to go with it.
Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Happy Hour with Fin Cocktail. Today we have someone very interesting with us. He's a shipbuilder by day and a restaurateur by night. He's the founder and director at Jakhar Hospitality Private Limited. No other than Abhimanyu Jakhar. Please welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So Abhimanyu, I know that you're an engineer by qualification and you're in the hospitality industry by choice. How did the entire switch happen?
Actually, engineering was never a choice or something. Like, every other household in India, coming from a North Indian family, I was pretty much shown two ways in life. One was engineering and other doctor, And my sister being a fantastic doctor, my dad one day just made me sit down to have that career talk with me. And he was like, I think you should go with becoming a doctor. You are brilliant in studies and everything. Go for it. And I'm like, Dad, I am a little scared of blood. My answer was this actually. And I was like, he was like, no, you won't be. You will learn it and everything will happen. And I was brainstorming, bro, I can't do blood at least completely. I'm very scared of it. I think I'll faint and stuff. So the next thing was not knowing much that's there in the world. I am going for engineering completely. So.
And what kind of engineering did you study?
I did mechanical.
Okay.
And because, my family's background into nut bolt manufacturing. So it was a perfect fit also for that. And like, very classic engineering dream where you imagine having an engineering degree and then for MBA, that was my dad's plan for me for sure. But coming into engineering, I just realized that, bro, this is not for me. I have more in my life to do. This is not where my heart is saying that I want to be for the rest of my life. And I just start figuring myself out. And, once I entered college, once I started doing engineering, maybe I had a lot of time on my hand. That could be one of the reasons that, I started realizing that there are different verticals in life and my career can give me a lot more than this. So that is where, I started brainstorming different things in my life and everything. Plus, when we bring up engineering, although I was decent in studies and everything, I failed miserably in IIT.
Oh.
So that was the first disappointment I gave my family completely on this. I still remember I got 3 marks in physics, which I was not very proud of. But somehow I did get into mechanical engineering through another entrance test of a private university and everything.
Okay.
So I started my engineering. I started, studying there hard and everything. Engineering was a smooth flow for me. I did get a 9.6 CGPA. I was decent in engineering and everything. I scored a very good job as well with MNC and particularly I had a very stable life coming towards me. But I think that only got to me where I just didn't see myself having that stable life and I just had something in my heart and mind that, I can do something out there and, create something in that zone. And in college only, in fact, I started my first business. It wasn't after college. So that is where, I actually, for the first time where I got an exposure to hospitality was when I started my own hotel that goes by the name of Interban Hotel. Okay. That was actually my first successful business venture. Like where I can say that I didn't just brainstorm an idea and put it into raw, but I did make out something out of that. So Interban story was very simple for me. Actually, my dad has invested a bit of money into a land that was on the main national highway in a small tier 2 city that is in Delhi NCR by the name of Rohtak. Okay. And that land literally was on for a waste. This even a guy who's 18 years old could see that. I don't know why my dad couldn't see that, of course. And the land was given for rent at the rate of 2,500 rupees just to somebody to store. I swear. And 2,500 rupees just to store bricks. Because it was just like, it came through my dad's reference, some relative or something. And he was like, the land is anyways not in use. So you just pay the common area maintenance charges, something like that. That was just very basic, 2,500 rupees for the electricity and everything. He didn't charge a dime. And looking at that, I was just, like thinking that, what can be done here and what cannot be done. My brain was working in that manner.
And this is all while you're still studying
Still
your
studying. I was
engineering degree.
particularly completing my first year where I thought of this.
Okay.
So, of course, like my age didn't support me to come with that massive power in a family
Conviction.
discussion or conviction where they saw, like, somebody can turn this around. But that just got stuck into me. Like, I believe entrepreneurship is all about solving a problem. So the way I saw this was not just the commercial aspect. What I saw there was that Rohtak is a developing city where companies like Asian Paints, Tata Steel, everybody's there. And when you have companies like Asian Paints, Maruti Suzuki, they have people coming from all over the country, plus completely, from Japan and their home countries. These people traveled 1.5 to 2 hours every day after that office just to get a good accommodation, a good 5-star hotel or anything like that. So there was no accommodation, nothing of resourceful. If any company wants to do a conference outside of their company, which is, a kind of thing that companies do just to give their employs that kind of a comfort or make it a little casual setting, there are no options. Again, 2 hours traveling. So I just thought, why don't I bridge that up? I give them the best accommodation that's possible for these executives, and at the same time I give them the corporate resources that they want exactly. And that is where the idea of Interurban started. So I started Interurban with 8 rooms. That's it. Just 8
Wow.
rooms, okay? And 1 restaurant without a reception, because I didn't have that kind of funds, very honestly speaking. So whatever my pocket could support me, I just did whatever I could do with the best things. And I built 1 conference hall, 1 banquet hall, and that's it. The hotel was ready with that. Now, when I start the hotel, coming from engineering, coming at the age of 18, 19 years, where I have no exposure of proper business, nothing like that, where still a lot of terms in my life are alien, whether it's GST, which was recently introduced at that time. So these things were completely alien. So I went in and I failed miserably for the first, second month. I clearly remember it didn't turn out so well. Things were completely in losses, and the losses were not something marginal, they were heavy. I got scared, like a normal human being, and I didn't say anything. I told my ma that I'm coming back to Bombay for a holiday and everything, and we had a small vacation planned and everything. So I was just like beating around the bush, and my mom is looking that you started a business. Why aren't you going back and everything? And she's just brainstorming like what's happening with him. And the truth was, I was a little scared to go back because I didn't know how do I turn this around.
Yeah.
And I put in my money, everything is stuck, and how do I turn this around? But there came a time where I was sitting in my sister's room one day and I was looking outside and, just realizing stuff in life, and just something just hit me that, bro, now it's now or never. You have chosen this life, stepping over things that were there in your life. And I just spoke to myself for a bit, and something just clicked in me that, this is where I'm going to like go for the tussle. I'm going to put on a fight. I'm going to put on a show. And with a very strong mindset, I went back.
Okay.
4 months, I don't know what time I got up, what time I slept. Only I was surviving when my body was giving up, ki bro, now you can't work, just sleep. That was my life. I just used to go 30 minutes in a park that was adjacent to my hotel to take a run to just freshen up.
Clear your
but
mind.
Nothing else I did. I was completely off with everything. I was nowhere in the grid, existing, nothing at all. It took me 4 months, but then Interurban became profitable. I cracked my first profit. And after cracking my first profit, it was never looking back. I just understood how business is going to work, what I have to do, how I'm going to make this happen. In 2 years, we made Interurban double of what it was. Now we have 16 rooms because that's the maximum area I have.
Correct.
Otherwise, I would have more rooms for sure.
Correct.
I have 2 banquet halls, 1 conference hall, 1 restaurant, 1 reception, which is a personal achievement for me because I started from that where I just sank into my business and brought it up from the dead. And that is where I learned my first lesson about business that, it's one thing I do believe that is common between everybody in life. Like it's just not an entrepreneur. It's anybody who does anything in his life and they have cracked it is one thing. They just refuse to give up. You can't do that. If you keep pushing, if you keep learning from your failures, there is no way you'll not crack it up. The timeline, of course, and the journey is going to differ for everybody. But I'm sure that this is the only thing that's common out there. So in this, this sweet journey of me being that young person who's in college, and my biggest support system was, of course, my entire family. No doubt about it. And I have a very beautiful family in today's world where we are 25 people who are very close to each other.
Wow.
Like, I don't say that, that we are cousins or anything. We are damn close. Although I have a sister that's a doctor, that's my blood relation. But when I say we are 25 people, we are 25 people. It was actually my mom who supported me the most. She saw this kid, and of course, like, taking a risk on this kid and this entire business project was not a joke. But she still has utmost faith, and she stood there with me very strong, whatever she could do. She has given me her entire life, and today whatever I'm closest to my mom in this entire world, and I'll always be there. But she is the woman who has actually made me till today. And one of my mama, I call him like Bablu Mama. There was a night when I came to him before starting the business. I was a little scared. He told me that whatever happens, we are in this together. You go for it. Let's see what happens. And those words enough, coming from somebody, just gave me that moral support to go with this. So that is where this entire thing of Interurban gave me that crack towards hospitality. But till then, I won't lie, like, it wasn't that I started to dream of that I'll be
A
restaurateur or
restaurateur.
do this. I was still exploring. That
Yeah.
was a business project. When I'll be very honest, when you start at young age, it wasn't like I'll say that I was out there to change the world or anything like
Yeah.
that. For me, it was, of course, like, I had fancy things that I wanted in my life. I wanted that dream. I wanted to make money, respect, everything like that. But it is a certain degree of maturity that came across during these years that now my aspects are very different. Today, if you actually ask me, and this I have mentioned everywhere, anybody who asks me on any scale, just by breathing and existing, you create a difference in this world.
Yeah.
You just don't know in what way you're creating. So if you're already creating, you better create a big difference in this world that contributes to people's life. And at the end of the day, it creates the world into a better place.
Sure.
And that's something that I truly believe in. And that is my core value in any of the companies or what I share with my team. That we are here just not to create a dent in the universe, but we are here to create a difference in this universe. At the end of the day, if I see people's life are getting affected for the good, I think I'm doing a decent job for my life.
Yeah.
That's the whole aspect. This is what I learned in this journey.
Great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about your story where you got into the hospitality industry. I also know that you own a restaurant called Diablo in Bombay.
Yeah.
And I've been there. It's such an amazing place. Tell us how that came about. I believe that it was a COVID baby, right?
Yeah, it was a COVID baby. Actually, after Interurban, of course, like, I started into shipbuilding also. I found my own a consultancy company, that is Santosh Offshore Consultant. Santosh is my mom's name, actually.
Okay.
So that was just my heartfelt gesture that, a contribution, a tribute to her, basically. That's why I named the company thus. And
Okay, so sorry to cut you, but what is shipbuilding exactly? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course I can.
Aspect of your work.
My dad comes from Indian Navy, actually.
Okay.
So I have been a Navy, I've lived in the Navy household since the start, and I've seen my dad working there and everything. So I have always had that ship exposure and everything. It was again the most random things. I think I just do random things in my life, because this is also again something I'd never dreamt of, that I'll do this or do that. Again in college, when I had time after Interurban, I just couldn't do one thing. My mind is very, very volatile and fragile that way. I just need to keep it occupied, and I just want to be busy all the time. In fact, I still remember when I went into business hardcore, even after Interurban, my mom had told me, like another mom where she wants a stability to me. She's like, you do whatever you want, just crack this GMAT because it's valid for 5 years. If tomorrow you fail anywhere, I don't see you on the streets begging for food. I see you somewhere out there, and just crack that for me so that I can be in peace. So juggling between these things where it's business and everything, I'll just tell you a story, like how things happened for me and how many people have supported me. People saw potential in college that this guy is doing something for me. My attendance was a little relaxed by a lot of professors. I used to not go attend lectures. I used to study for my college exams and for GMAT in the library. After those 3 hours, I used to be in business, coming back to my hostel at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I used to sit on metro, Delhi metros. That was my time because I completed my studies in Delhi. So there was a time, literally, I used to, during my final exams, I didn't have time to revise or do anything. I used to sit on the floor of the metro. I used to put on those earplugs. I used to open my book, study for those 1.5 hour my metro journey. And that was my enough study to crack that exam the next day. So that is where I was, having that time to myself. And I came across this idea that I wanted to contribute something to the ship industry. I realized another problem in this country specifically when it comes to shipbuilding, where I saw today India doesn't has any private sector investing in any big manner. This is when I was not in this business, who like company like Maersk or these container ships who don't invest for repairs and everything in India because they saw a big challenge of cost and timing. These were not structured. The entire algorithm wasn't structured in a manner that I could say that this is the right way to go about it. And that is where the problem came in front of me, and I started brainstorming my mind. I had a chat with my dad. I understood a bit more of the business and everything. But after spending few crazy hours, by few I mean approximately 1,000 hours, where I spent across this idea, I came with something that my company intends to solve the shipbuilding that is happening in India for various shipyards and various clients in a manner that we are able to compete with any global shipyard across the world. Today, I can very proudly say that, whatever we have built today across for any of the companies, we have made companies out there. And whichever way we have directed ourselves in the shipbuilding, we are very close to any graded shipyard across the world.
Wow.
And that is where we have come across in this 5 years of journey with this company.
And this shipyard where is it exactly?
So we have different clients across the country, of
Okay.
course. So we work with our clients on multiple projects, and that is where we are scaling out into different zones in this.
Okay.
So that is how we came across with this industry.
Okay.
And then when you ask about Diablo,
Yeah.
so it's a very dramatic story actually. Like one day, I had never been to the proper Worli downtown before in my life, and even though getting exposure from interurban and the shipping, I still didn't understand the dynamics of restaurant industry. So there was this meeting I had with a consultant, and I thought I had saved 1 CR of money basically, I'll be very honest. And I thought that, bro, 1 CR is good enough to start a restaurant in Bombay. What big deal? That is the dumb part of me playing there who's not exposed to this industry. So I went to this consultant, I'm sitting across, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, you tell me how much money you want, I have it." And he showed me a chart where the figure was not 2 or 3 times, it was 6, 7 times of that. I'm like, "Hey, bro, like my to dream you just crushed in 2 minutes. Where do I go now?" So I was again a little heartfelt. So I was just on a drive, that brainstorming things. Drive is my escape to everything. I just take my car, I go to brainstorm things and stuff. So I was passing through this road, and I saw this beautiful restaurant out there by the name of Tamasha. And I was like, yeah, like, anybody manifest or something in their life. I was like, "Ki, someday even I want to have a restaurant like this, like this." I saw people piling up outside, going crazy. They
Yeah.
want to enter. They were going like, it was beautiful property. And I just like thought of myself. And cut to in COVID, when there was absolutely nothing to do, I had this long of a beard, because if you remove me from my work, I'm just another person who's not functioning very well in any zone. And I couldn't build ships or run interurban in this COVID. So it was very easy for me to think in that zone that I want to build a restaurant, and it has been a dream. So maybe this is the right time to go into this. And hence, like, Diablo's concept came across to the entire thing. And I'm hunting for a place, I'm hunting for an opportunity, and the next thing I know that Tamasha is going out. And I get to know that from like a person who's a common friend. And the next thing I know is that I want this place. And then you have Diablo in front of Tamasha.
Wow.
And that's how we changed it.
Wow, that's
And that
amazing.
was like where I entered with Diablo.
Great. So you've been in the restaurant and like the pub or bar business for about 4 years now.
Yes.
And, I'm sure that there are a lot of challenges surrounding this. It's not easy to run a restaurant. So can you tell us a few challenges that you faced and overcame along your journey?
See, like any industry, every industry possesses challenge. Sometimes I do feel that this industry possesses a different set of challenge, because I do feel that it is not structured very well. Manufacturing and other industries have been in the country since even before independence. So there have been entrepreneurs, there have been government associations that have structured those industry. When it comes to hospitality, this is something that has still not happened. Of course, it's work in progress. Every bit of me, any other restaurateur or the government bodies are working towards making this industry even more futile and even more aggressive in that nature. But when it comes to these things, like there are so many variables and very less constant in this industry that you never know what can hit you and where it can hit you. Secondly, when you do a restaurant in any of the cities where you don't own the place, which is 99% of the restaurants of the
It's so
country, let me
expensive
say.
to own property in the
Exactly.
city.
So when you do that, The biggest thing is you are not creating any assets in this industry. Today, if you build a car, you build a ship, you have that structure, like, that stainless steel ka to bhav mil hi jayega, that kind of thing. But in restaurant industry, there is
Nothing of
nothing
that
you get.
sort. Yeah.
Either you're all in or you're all out. The biggest challenge for anybody who's starting off, or is this there are no assets created. Everything is a floating liability. Now it is on you how you use those floating liability to turn them around into assets, and that is something sadly less than 1% are able to do it right now because of the multiple variable challenges and everything. The market is so ever changing in this country. I cannot tell you, if you go from city to city, you will just understand the dimensions are completely different. A brand that works in Bombay is no more guaranteed to work in Delhi. A brand that's working in Bangalore is no more guaranteed to work in Bombay.
Absolutely.
It is not like this. You have to adapt. And in that adaptation, there is the second challenge that I say, you have so many variables that can hit you to go wrong. Sometimes you might miss one small thing and you will just go for off with it. So you cannot be guaranteed of anything. Plus, it's not something of a stable business, because when I say stable, it's not that it's not cannot be made stable, but the market just responds very differently due to different factors in Bombay. Like if I take the city up, so you are never too sure if one weekend is good for you, then a second weekend is gonna be a banger as well. You are always in that thing where you have to push very hard. So this industry does require a lot of pushing, lot of presence of mind, lot of opening your head to the adaptation that happening in your own city as well. So things like these can catch up to you anytime in this industry. So more than anything, I would just say, like, people have asked me multiple times, when you are doing this, you're doing that, why did you get into this industry? It is just that my passion that brought me here. I do share a very deepened passion for this, and that is where now there's no looking back. When we found JHPL, Jakhar Hospitality Private Limited, the whole idea was just to push along with this industry, and yes, to contribute in a manner that tomorrow people look behind and say that we were the ones who structured this industry in the most aggressive and the most decent manner.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what are your plans with JHPL going forward?
JHPL was born after getting a very good deepened meaning, not only in India, but wherever I traveled, with an aspect to what exactly hospitality is, what exactly everything is. Today, I wouldn't say, although the name is Jakhar Hospitality Private Limited, we are not a hospitality company in altogether. What I believe is JHPL is all about experiences. We are an experiential company. With this company, our aspect is very clear to, provide people with experiences that they have never seen. And that is what you want to do when you step out and you come to us. Basically, the whole idea is to create a experience for people from the time you make a reservation with us, to the end of the time where we see you off for your house for the exit. You'll have an experience that's completely out of the world. And we just believe that with this industry, we are taking this entire industry on a front head. There's not a commercial aspect of my business where I just I'm going with any random project or random concept. We have a very specific vision. Whatever we are doing for a reason, after understanding a gist of it and putting it on the table, just to change this industry once and for all together. And that is what my intention. I wouldn't I have always been a very heartfelt person. Whatever my heart has allowed me, I have only done that clearly with my journey. Started from engineering, doing something else, then doing something else, doing something else. Today, when I'm sitting here, I can very assuredly say that it wasn't something that came out of one random night, but it came out of a dream and vision specifically, where we see this industry changing by us, that we know where the pocket holes are and what needs to be done. I see there is a huge demand. People are craving things. It's just there's no supply, and this is something that we are here to completely switch it off and show people what exactly hospitality can be.
Yeah.
They have seen an aspect of it. Now it's on to us that you will show something
No,
very
I do
different.
agree with you that there is a huge demand, but I also feel that there is a huge supply. There are so many restaurants cropping up every single day, in this city. I don't know if they're good or they're bad or they're average. I don't want to comment on that, but there are new places coming up every single day. So how do you then manage to create that differentiating factor or stand out amongst a sea of restaurants, new restaurants that too, cropping up every day in every corner of the city?
The answer to this, the first answer that came into my mind could get me in trouble also, but I'll speak very freely on this about my views. You know, the whole idea is most of the restaurants in this country lack one thing, that is the soul itself. when you do any business, what matters is what soul you put into that. And if that soul is felt by your consumers, that is where you just click. You bridge a gap. You understand what the industry is, what the consumer wants. Now, today, when you say that there is so much supply, you know how the supply is. You see that cushion right there on your couch. So you paint it red, then you paint it white, you paint it blue.
Yeah, it's
So
just
you
the
have
same
three
thing,
cushions
but yeah,
under different brandings, under different things, but it's a cushion at the end,
it's
right?
doing the same
But
thing.
maybe as a consumer, you don't want the cushion. You want something else. You want that round cushion because your taste palette is different. Your experience factors are different. And that is where the supply you will see on quantitative basis too much. But on the qualitative basis,
Very less. I
Very
agree.
less.
I agree because, before we started shooting for this, we were having a candid conversation, and you asked us that which is your favorite restaurant in the city,
Yeah.
or even the country, and I literally fell short of words because I don't have a favorite which I can keep going to again and again and again. And I also feel that it's because so many options are there out there. You're like, okay, let me try something new, let me try something new. But in this process of trying something new, I feel like there's no repeat value
Exactly.
to your experience. I don't have that one go-to place कि कभी भी मुझे इधर ही जाना हो कुछ भी if I can't think of anything, I'll go here.
If I ask you, like, why would you step out? Like, exactly, if you decide to step out one day, it's going to be for one reason that, of course, you want to have a very good time. That is given for sure. But also, you want to go for an experience. That is where you want to spend. You are
Yeah.
also earning for a reason. It's not that you just have extra to spend. You will go out and spend that buck only for a reason to get an experience out there.
Absolutely. And sometimes the experiences themselves are so horrendous because I'm sorry, but there are so many restaurants in the city that don't even give you a reservation. Like they will act so pricey to just give you a
Exactly
table.
my point.
And then when you're there, there's these like two seatings which I understand, because you have to turn the table around. There has to be like two seatings available. But more often than not, whenever I've booked myself for that second slot, I don't get my table on time.
Never.
Ek to 10 baje tak you're staying hungry.
And then you're paying
And
also.
then you're paying them everything full price.
And you're standing after
And then you're
paying.
just standing, waiting for a table. And I can't wrap my head around it.
See, that is where the vision...
This is what I'm saying, that the quality, there is no quality.
That is exactly what you have said is completely right. And I do believe this is something that hospitality is not even close to.
Yeah.
My job as somebody who's providing hospitality to you, or that experience factor, when I am we come from a country where hospitality is like a sanskar. It is not
It
something
is.
just a bland word.
It is.
And
India is
when-
one of the best
I
sort of countries
agree.
in the world when it comes to hospitality.
No doubt
I have
about it.
traveled so many countries, nothing compares to India.
Nothing even comes
Nothing.
close.
Nothing even comes close.
Because this is what I said, it's just not something of like a word, it's our sanskar, it's a value, it's basically Atiti Devo Bhava, that is a hospitality thing.
yeah.
Even in our home, we are, taught and, dealt with in a manner in our soul that if a person comes, we have to be very hospitable because that is where, our values come across. And when these things you say, like, of course, like, I understand challenges at times, but as a person, if you ask me how I run my restaurants and how I'm going to bring JHPL into the scope, we are somebody who will always believe not to make you wait even a bit. Of course, I'll not accommodate you by making you sit across the bar with two separate stools where, I also make you feel awkward and everything. But our honestly inclination will always be to accommodate you in the best manner because, of course, there are two reasons. One is we are hospitality and second is that you are my bread and butter. This consumer who's coming in, if he's not treated with respect, how do I run my business exactly? Then I don't have that value for the customer. I'll be speaking very honestly with you. Then actually I don't value the consumer itself, my bread and butter itself.
Absolutely. And then again, that repeat value is never going to happen from
Exactly.
the customer's end.
Exactly.
If I've had a bad experience at a restaurant once, I refuse to go a second time. Because like I said, there are so many other options out there, might as well pick something else.
And that is-
Bhale wahan bhi experience acha ho, bura ho, God knows. But at least I'm not going to go to the same place where I didn't have a good time the first time around,
And that is our whole inclination with JHPL's portfolio. The idea is very clear to give you whatever you require. Basically, at the end of the day, when you step out, some days you are in the mood to experiment with some progressive food. So we have one thing for you. Some days you're not in the mood to have food at all. You just want to chill with your friends for a bar. We have that for you. So one day you want to be in a zone where you have the mix of the entire world and you're just socializing and everything. We have that for you. So in whatever capacity, we have done our research and development when it comes to the Indian consumer. Our company inclines and believes and develops develops products basically to give you those experiences in those aspects. So tomorrow when you step out and you have any aspects, you just have to choose from our portfolio, click on that and go there. We will give you the entire thing in a single platter. And that is the whole idea of JHPL.
So you've been talking about how you're going to make hospitality a much, much better experience for all of us. So what are your plans? Are you launching any new restaurants in the near future?
We are going very heavy with our plans. We took our time to plan. We took our time to research and develop, because after Diablo, this is actually my next step in hospitality. I have been MIA. Like, it's not that, I've not been doing things, but when it comes to a particular brand, now we are bringing not just one but many things all together. And which, of course, like in very near future, I'm gonna like make a press release about it and make sure like everything comes out there. But we have been working our heart and soul, my team and everything. We have just slept over things again and again, again and again. And like I said, we have not created something like what happens presently in the market, that ये जगह बहुत अच्छी है, let's create something that the people would love. We have created stories, we have created experience, we have understood the consumer very well, we have put down an equation, we have gone through that again and again, and with utmost hope, with the most brutal hope inside me, I just hope that this goes out and the consumers and entire public loves this and they absorb it in the manner we expect them to do. And of course, like our visions and expectations from this company and the brands that are coming are on a very different scale, because yes, in somewhere our intention and efforts are only inclined to like change this business, and like I always say for any of my business, create a dent in this universe. That is what we are here to do.
Wow, great. Looking forward to all your new restaurants.
Exactly.
Also, it's just something that I've been thinking of while we're having this conversation. Shipbuilding is your daytime job and this is your nighttime job. How do you really manage? Like, how do you
Shipbuilder by the
manage?
day, restaurant by the
Yeah,
night.
like, how do you manage both? It's so hard. Like, even doing one thing, I think, is so hard. You're doing two, and you're looking like fresh doing it all. So, how are you doing this?
Trust me, I'm fresh only till the time I'm doing everything. The time something like is off from my table, I go haywire. It is just like I do believe in this thing, which might sound filmy at times, but you create a life where you don't need an escape from. Every day it should be like Mondays are most exciting for me, by the way. Like, I look forward to Mondays. I want to get up on Mondays. I want to look forward to my work and everything. So I genuinely am doing what I want to do, what is coming from my heart. So I really don't mind doing whatever I'm doing, the number of hours I'm cracking or anything. I love to be in my office. I love to be around my team. Honestly, I don't even remember like when last I met my friends in a proper scale where it wasn't a party, it wasn't a launch or anything, just chilling out there, because it's just been like that. And I really love myself to these things, because yes, yeah, this is where my heart wants to be. So I have no complaints. And plus there's one more thing, God has given me beautiful assets and intellectual assets inside, and I want to use those skills to create something here. So I'm very heartily fulfilled with all of the things I'm doing. So no complaint, but of course, like there are complaints from people around me for sure. I always say to anybody who knows me even little bit, they know my time is my biggest enemy. Other than time, I have everything to give and do. My mom is something like she craves the most, and I'm just sometimes like not very happy the amount of time I'm not able to give her at times. But other than that, also, if I put it this way, if I'm like squeezing in my time for anything or for any person, that person has to be very important to me, because other than my work, I have nothing else. I'm just like that. So that is the best thing. I can make a person believe that yes, I do love you, and this is
Yeah,
what
I'm
it is.
spending that time with you.
Yeah, trust me, I have too much love for you, and you are utmost priority, because like it's crazy out there. It's a mess, and you know how business is. You wake up, you don't know what's there out there for the day. You have to keep your mind focused. You have to keep it balanced. That you are in the shape to accept anything that's gonna hit you.
Yeah.
And of course, in any entrepreneur's life, this even a day scale is what. You go on the peak, you go down. There's one moment in the day where you feel that you've got it. There's one moment in the day that you're like, why the fuck am I here in this? And there's one moment that you're like, I will make it. And it's a mix of all the emotions put together.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the
That's
day,
so true.
That's an entrepreneur's life.
That is very true.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about to have a lot of initial like sort of capital or investment to start a restaurant, because you said you had 1 crore saved up, but then clearly that wasn't enough. So can you give us like a ballpark on like the restaurant industry? What is the kind of profits that you can make? When do you sort of get there? How much of an initial capital do you need to have to set up like an average sized restaurant in the city?
Of course, like, on this, if I answer this question, I would like address it into variables again, because one restaurant can be of a scale of 1,000 square feet, one can go to as 20 to 25,000 square feet. So it all depends on the kind of product that you're making with everything. So the variables again, like, are insane. But if I give you a very layman answer for this, that is, being understood by everybody, to do a decent restaurant in the league that I do, which is a A-lister restaurant, you definitely need something around 8 CR capital to in a city like Bombay, because our rentals are too high and some other factors are very high. And when you go to Delhi, that can marginally go by 5% down, not a big hit.
Oh, that's it.
That's it, of
Okay.
course. Because see, construction cost can go from 1,000 rupees per square feet when you make a very chilled out chai cafe to something of 25,000 rupees per square feet, and these restaurants are already made. This is
Yeah.
not something I'm saying out of my thought, but yes, there are few restaurants in our city that are compiled in just construction 25,000 rupees per square feet.
Wow.
So it all depends on the things that you want to do. But yes, considering this thing, if you invest this kind of money, I would say you should expect or aim, more than expect, aim for an ROI around somewhere around 18 months. That should be a
Okay.
good punch. I would say that if you crack that, I would say that you have done a fabulous job here.
Okay.
Considering the challenges that come across with the seasons, with the market and everything. And this way it should go about it. And when it comes to margins, of course, like, there is no particular thumb rule for any business to have a margin.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I would say a range of 20 to 30% is something I would say a brilliant restaurant is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are restaurants that are doing this.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
if you do it right.
Interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
So the viewers that are watching, there is money in this industry for sure, and you can go about it.
So, Abhimanyu, tell us what are a few key trends that one should be looking out for in the restaurant industry? Where is it really going in the next, say, 5 or 10 years?
You know how this industry actually changed the dynamics? When the A-lister brands came in, which are established today, there was something from the West they saw that this kind of a brand is running there. They replicated the concept, they did those things here, and people loved it. So India has always been very open and accepting to new ideas, new concepts, and new derivations. It is never, I love the market that India has. I'm being very honest, like, I'm in love with the market that we have for any industry here. So in this industry also, particularly when I look at India, like, the public that I resonate with, they're very much open to everything that comes their way. But now when I talk about one major trend that I've actually seen after COVID, and which is going to bring this change in the industry, is people are very self-aware. Now they don't mind spending $1,000. Of course they'll spend if they want a good experience, but they want that justification, why am I spending that?
Yeah.
They are aware. It is not something bullshit they're going to buy that, this is it, that's why I want to sell it. No, they are aware, they know where they're spending and what they're spending on. So that justification is something that has to come from a restaurant or a concept that's been derived. People want new things, but at the same time they reason it well.
Yeah.
Reason
They
it
want value for money also.
exactly. They want things in an in a very broadened manner, but at the same time they're very self-aware. They know what they're getting into, what they're having today, and they'll judge you very critically on that. This is not it's not a public that's not aware or educated. They are very well know where they're spending and everything, and that is where it becomes a challenge also for us to develop and gear up, take a step forward. It's a growth challenge. I look at it in a very positive manner. Today, if I want to sell something at the price of 3,000, it's not like I'm just going to label and market it in the manner that it's for 3,000. That justification has to come from the basic, that why is it like this? And people will buy it because I said that, it's a fantastic market. But at the same time, the self-awareness have started to kick in. And that is just bringing it into the zone. Second trend, the way I see is, like, again, coming from the West, today in London, like, the way I look at the entire thing, London is one of my favorite city in the world, and going in and out of that city, I have just understood one thing: people love eating outside. You will see people outside altogether.
Yeah.
This is what's catching up to this country also. Today, yes, people want to go there. The trend is such that nobody wants to, like, cook that much at their house because everybody is busy. Everybody is cracking up 24 hours. It is just, if you squeeze in your personal hours, that's a big deal and big achievement for you in a day. Like, the other time we were discussing that we don't even have times for our family at times, because that's how life has become. It's so fast, it's so rigorous. And so that time, food is something that people are not minding to get outsourced. By
Yeah.
outsource, I mean getting from a restaurant, from a healthy joint or anything like that,
Yeah.
whatever they taste like.
Yeah.
And that is catching up to us also.
Yeah.
And that is where I see this industry progressing and going forward in a very, very rigorous manner and in a very wide spectrum compared to the West. It's not going to be just very restricted like the West. We have a bigger market, we have a bigger palette, we have different verticals.
Yes.
So the spectrum that we will have while this industry progresses forward is going to be much more different from the West. I'm very sure that someday the people in the West will be looking at us and they'll understand what hospitality is and how hospitality actually expanded in our country.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But is it just tier 1 cities that are sort of progressing in this direction? Like, what about tier 2 and tier 3 cities? Is there any sort of scope there?
Any kind of scope, I'll just tell you very clearly, I'm a fan of tier 2 cities. I have tested waters in tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities. I love tier 1 cities, absolutely. Bombay being my home, it's my favorite city, of course. Delhi, like, again, my home being my favorite altogether as a market. I love Delhi as a market. But when I talk about cities like Indore, I speak about cities like Chandigarh. These cities are something else. The consumers are just ready for you. You have to give them the right product and they're just waiting with everything that they want to experience that. And that is where things happen. Plus, when I speak financially, the biggest advantage any restaurant here, what is our biggest challenge? Our rentals.
Correct.
When I sit in Bombay, I open a restaurant, my biggest challenge is rental. When I
crazy.
open in Delhi, it's the same thing. Tier 2 cities have the same revenue clocking at 70% less rental. Please don't misjudge me on this figure. I am telling you, it is 70% less than any tier 1 city where we are sitting. And you just have that wide scope, which is what? A turning profit for you at the end. So tier 2 cities are something that, I always will and always love to expand. And I will be going heavy in the tier 2 cities also.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. So, since this is a finance podcast, I want to sort of understand from you how you manage finances for your companies as well as your personal finances.
Well, my personal finances, if I say about like anything would come across as, like how the world is running around, hand to mouth or savings, these are the two aspects that we see. But actually there is 1% of the population which also sees the third aspect, which is investment. So for me, it's like neither of the two, because I'm not a good saver. I'll be very honest. If I wouldn't have my sister on my back completely, my all funds would be drained till now. I wouldn't have anything for sure. So for me, it's like either spending on investments, but investments being my priority thing. Whatever small things I make in my life, I try to invest it here and there, because that is the money that channels into another money. You say that paisa hi paise ko
Money
banata
makes
hai.
money.
So that is a very true thing.
Yeah.
At the end, you need to have that.
Yeah.
So personal expenses, that is like something of a Bible to me. And if somebody, although I'm not a wizard in this, that I should be asked for, but if somebody asks that what should they do, I will always say go for investment, and go for investment that can yield returns, and use those yield returns, and that to a part of that for your personal expense, and part again in the investment. If you maintain this channel, even let's say 70%, you will make a very comfortable life. That is what I can see on paper and what I'm doing right now. That is very for sure. When it comes to companies thing, again, like my companies are something, I don't believe in loans and much on those things. So we are very proudly self-funded, debt-free companies, all of mine. We don't have any head-on liabilities like loans and everything, and I don't want to keep that. I'll take my 2 steps in another year rather than risking it all. Investments we take, but also those are again stakes, so we don't have those debts and all things. So that eases us as a business model, because that is something we don't have to take care of. But at the same time, coming from a company that is still into progress, most of our finances are always piled with the expansion plans we have, because I am somebody who's very impatient. If my VP would be sitting here, she would be the most irritated, because I'm just not patient at all. One day, one of my friends just describes me, who's working with the company. He's like, Abhi is like, one day he'll just be all shant, he'll be playing his PlayStation, everything. Next day, he'll call up everybody in the office, guys, we are launching the restaurant tomorrow. So 24 hours, get your bags to the office. We are staying here, we are eating together, we are having a drink here together, but we are starting the restaurant. And that is where, is me as a person. That is where it comes. So my expansion has always been on the thing, and my finances a bit on trail. So that bridge that I have to do goes on my CFO for sure. That's why I think he just sleeps 4 hours a night because of the things that I do. But I do wish him good
Poor
health.
chap.
Yeah, very poor chap, but he loves me and I love him. I'm sure that he wouldn't bear with it. He's been with me since the start, and that's why I think at night when I call him, it's never like he picks my phone on a very good note. He's always expecting something like this, that listen, we are doing this tomorrow or day after tomorrow, so get the funds ready. So get this ready. So yeah, like this is like, like how we balance. But of course, we have that stable money kept at end, because I would never have willingly a loan or anything. I just don't resonate with the debt thing very much. So I would be love to be self-funded for the longest of time that's possible at my end.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
actually like a great place to come from. Most people don't have an option but to take a loan. But since you've managed your businesses this well, you're in a great situation where you don't have to take on
Touch
a
wood.
loan.
I hope so.
Touch wood. Definitely. No, so tell us, there are so many people, youngsters especially, that are so curious about this particular industry because it's fun, it's fancy, it's interesting. What is, what are a few pieces of advice that you can give these people?
Definitely, this industry is very eye-catching, and I see it resonates very much towards the age of 20 to 30. And trust me, even from age 30 plus, I see people resonating and finding this industry very appealing. Of course, because of the lot of things that are associated with it, the money, the glamour, everything there. So I see every day so many calls made to our office where we are open for investment. So people calling us that they want to be a part of us and everything. And I, of course, before getting somebody on board, I want to understand where they are coming from and their vision is. You remember there was a time when every third person in Bombay wanted to become an actor?
Yeah.
Now it is a restaurateur.
Yeah.
So every third person out there
But
is,
actually, in
is-
some capacity or the other,
Agreed.
a lot of my own friends own a restaurant.
Exactly. It's
may
either a
not
coffee
be,
shop,
yeah.
it's a big restaurant, it's a small restaurant. But yes, I'm talking about the
Even
industry.
like a partner in some restaurants, but they
Exactly.
do. I mean,
And that is where people are coming from. So I do see a lot of people rushing on this, and they are serious as well. But some people are again like, for them it's fun, like they want to be a part of it. The whole idea is very good. So the resonation is very strong. But if I am to advise somebody on anything who's opening a restaurant or anything, just be serious about something that you're putting in. It's not only about the money. If your product, it's not just a restaurant, any product you make in this world, if you don't put your heart and soul and the brain, more importantly, to crack what you're doing, how you're doing, if that thing is not clear, I think it's not a good choice to go with it. That is the most important element. That will make you go into sub branches, of course, where you'll think about the finances, everything. But to give it in a very nutshell, you have to be very clear why and what are you doing.
sure.
And that is not just this industry, but any industry you go with.
Any industry, definitely. And I feel like there should always be like that element of problem solving, like you said.
Yeah.
It should solve some problem.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you don't want to be like a fish in the sea. You're just another fish in the sea.
Exactly, and that is how what entrepreneurship is, right? Today, today NASA couldn't launch rockets, and they were facing problems. They were forced to shut down. What happened? Elon Musk saw that as an opportunity. He thought that they are not able to do it for some reason. I'll solve that problem. He solved it. He actually reduced the rocket cost by such a huge amount just by making sure that the rocket is not blasted in the mid-air. It is brought back on this for a relaunch.
Yeah.
So the same lower back of the rocket is used for 10 launches now, saving
Correct.
so much money. So he just cracked it out. He cracked the problem. So of course that company is successful. Similarly, there are various entrepreneurs who have solved the problem, and that is what we are looking for to do as a company, as an entrepreneur. And this is what my final advice would be in a very humorous way. If you open a restaurant just to have a drink of your own, please don't come to my restaurant. I will give you a special table and I'll give you a heavy discount. Trust me, I'll do that for you. If your aspects are something serious about the industry, go for it. This is the industry to be. Yeah.
Great, amazing. It was such a great chat, Abhimanyu. Thanks for joining us. And I'm looking forward to all your restaurant launches
Thank you
because
so
I know
much.
that they're in Mumbai and we're here. So we're definitely going to be there for all of them.
Thank you so much. That is very sweet of you. I had a great time and thank you for having me.
Definitely.
Yeah. In case you liked our chat and the entire thing that's happening here, I just want you guys to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, on a very serious note, I really love their work and I'm on for it. So do like, share, and subscribe their work.
Thank you.
Good?
Perfect.